Okay. What was amazing with this ICON is we brought in the stakeholders, the game changers in the industry to the investment conference. When we say about game changers, we will have to further clarify it. Like in infrastructure, we have the economic zones and the locators. And it was successful in a way that with this investment conference, there was already big investments that came in and was already sealed. I will not make the announcements of what happened. It will be best that it comes from their end. But with this investment conference, it was the avenue for them to go in and do the investments here in Davao. Second, we were able to showcase that Davao is a safe and secure city to invest in. Like what was mentioned in the previous presscon that happened, like the Japanese, they have had some advisories, travel advisories regarding our status as a martial law, and we have limited access because of that advisory. So that from the Japanese end, they are not able to come in as in that in a huge way, but when they came over with the Japanese Chamber of Commerce, they saw that really Davao is secure, and you know what makes it more investment friendly is having this martial law, right? So this means to say that they feel safe and secure with this environment that we have, so that they're coming here means that even against the travel advisory, Davao is the place for investments. And mind you, we have here the Japanese National Tour Organization, JINTO. JINTO is the one that endorses to their government and to the stakeholder the possibility of having that Davao Narita or Narita flight.
Or Haneda.
Haneda. Okay, I think it's Haneda. Davao Haneda. They are here because they would want to know the pulse of the situation and the possibility of making into reality that Davao Haneda flight. So that's why they have a desk here, and they will be going all around Davao and getting the data that they will need, because as what was mentioned to us, they for that Davao Haneda flight to become a reality, they have to have some endorsements from both the public and the government sector. And this is through the initiative of Japan Consul Miwa, and of course through with the Japanese Chamber of Commerce. Okay, so that's for the infra and tourism sector. This Davao ICON is different. Why? Because we're now looking to the future. We're now integrating digital economy into the investment conference. What you mean with digital economy and e-commerce? We have with us the biggest, how do you call this, cloud technology in the whole world. And they are here. The president with her whole team. And that is the Alibaba Cloud Technologies. They will be introducing to us the smart cities. Just recently, we've had a meeting. They presented to us what they did with smart cities in, not only in China, but they have it even in Macau, Malaysia. They call it the Malaysia Brain Center. Okay, so everything goes there, the data and everything. Just a sample of a smart city. If there's an emergency, you have series of cars, there's traffic everywhere, but if there's an emergency, everyone will be giving way to that ambulance. Okay, and then it will be redirected into an area or to the road, which will make it more easier for that ambulance to access the hospital. It's something like that. And then they talk about not only about the smart cities, but they also talk about e-commerce. Okay, e-commerce and cloud technology had a platform that is being introduced there for the e-commerce also in Mexico. And just a sample of e-commerce, like Sasha, they just mentioned about Sasha. You're familiar with Hong Kong, right? Okay, Sasha is the #1 cosmetics, di ba, in Hong Kong. So they are the ones providing also that the platform for the technology. So, my friends, this investment conference is really different because it's not the usual investment conference. We're looking into how Davao, how Mindanao, and how the Philippines can leverage the cloud technology that is going to happen, or the artificial intelligence, or the fourth industrial revolution that's going to happen. And we are making people aware already in the business sector that this is going to happen, and it is something like it's happening now, but it's going to be it's going to grow more in the next couple of years, and the applications are very, very vast. So with this is the future of business technology already. This is the business. This is the base of e-commerce. So investment conference now is not based on the usual. This is going to be global e-commerce, even while you're at home, because you're ordering online already. Diba? So that's it. So, and then, of course, we have with us, like in the previous connectivities that we have, that was launched in the investment conference, like the first investment conference, you have your Davao Clark, the second was the ASEAN Roro, the fourth was on Davao Kuala Lumpur. This investment conference touch base with connectivity to make Davao more connected to the world. And we have that launch of Qatar Airways, which is the Davao Doha flight. So this is really a very different investment conference, and you can even see from the profiles and the cross-section of the participants that they are the stakeholders or the game changers in the industry. So that's it. We welcome you all to the conference also.
Okay, John Trea, another pillar of the Davao Investment Conference, will have his own initial impressions.
Okay, a lot of the investors and delegations, and I think maybe I'd like to add to what Dr. Monteverde mentioned earlier. The difference between the previous ICON and this ICON is that we have delegations of business people that have pre-booked their attendance, which is something we never had before. So that by itself already gives you about a third of our delegates are from outside the Philippines. Another reason, and I believe one reason of the feedback I get, is that they're genuinely interested in the economic growth of Davao. Because if you will notice, the gross regional domestic product growth rate of Davao has consistently remained above 7% over the last 5 years. And that's already an impressive number when you consider that by average, that's about high, if not higher than China's growth. So any economy that can give you that kind of number over a 5-year period definitely will be an interesting economy, and many will wonder why they're not in that economy. So that actually makes it interesting. The resilience and the consistency of the growth enables them to look at it. Mindanao, as you know, has 7.7% growth. Davao has 8.3%. By any measure, that's very impressive when you consider that the United States has something like 3%. So by that alone, that will already compel people to take a look and see how they can participate in the economy. That's why I'm not surprised why groups have pre-booked their attendance. Yes.
For the business leaders, can I ask you to comment on the latest survey of the SWS, which showed that the number of Mindanaoan families who consider themselves poor declined, because a large part of that would be attributed to the jobs created by the private sector?
I'll start siguro, no? Last year's unemployment rate in southern Mindanao in Socsargen was about 3%, which is even lower than the Philippines, which then was at 5.1. And that being the case, we actually have a shortage of skilled labor at the moment. So I'm not surprised that you have that kind of self-rated. No?
Self-rated poverty.
The self-rated poverty has been going down in the last two SWS surveys. And it actually is consistent with the unemployment figures and underemployment figures we've been seeing. Total employment is already at 94.8%, which means your unemployment is only 5.2. If you compare that with the region, I don't have the figures now, but we even have better unemployment figures than our ASEAN neighbors. So I believe it's consistent. It means that maybe there's a lot of investment coming in, and current reforms that have been instituted, particularly yung tax reform that has actually removed income taxes from many of our citizens. And just recently, yung estate tax amnesty is one which I believe will boost a lot of economic activity because it will jumpstart the trading of a lot of real estate, which will spur development of private property. So yun yung
Gano'ng kalaki nga ang estate tax?
It's down to 6% at value at the time of death of the deceased. And that, okay, of course, that will already generate revenue for the government, but the real benefit there is that they can now trade the real estate. They can now offer it as collateral or joint venture or whatever. That will be the one that will really boost a lot of development.
The current figure is 4%, 4.2% unemployment rate. You know, we signed an MOA with TESDA because most of the build projects are having problems sourcing labor. If you look around, no, most of the property development, mga subdivisions, they have all wanted carpenter, wanted all of this. And you know, when we engage TESDA for an urgent training program, we can hardly get warm bodies. So there seems to be, I don't know whether this is a product of, tama ba yung 4.2%? Or, but what is real for me is the underemployment. They are employed but not getting the best salary or wages that they really wanted, no? So from 18%, I guess it's going down. It used to be 18%. It's going down rapidly. So ang problema nga natin, the absorptive capacity of our national government to implement the flagship projects, especially in Mindanao. So this is one challenge that we need to address. In fact, in Manila, I guess you've read the papers that foreign nationals are being hired already, and it's getting to be an issue. But you know, we need to really analyze and understand, because just making, I mean, for me, we need those projects to be implemented regardless, if I were to say it, regardless who will do it, no? The most important thing is the project be done, whether by foreign labor or domestic labor, but the project should be done as soon as possible, because our timeline is 2022. Okay, that all these projects that are scheduled for, especially for Mindanao, should be, even if it's not completed, should have been started already and on stream.
Okay, more questions? More questions? Everybody has a
Sir, gamay lang ko kay sir. Ang mga ambassadors, were they invited or ang mga chambers lang? But they made their surprise appearance.
Honestly, we invited them. But based on past experiences, di mo na sila attend. Oh. But karon, sayo pag yung kayo nag-confirm. So, it just indicate the interest that they have on the Davao Investment Conference, probably, but to also observe what's happening in Davao City. So for me, that's really the indication. I guess our chair Malu can add to this.
If we look at the global perspectives now, you have EU, you have Brexit, right? And then you have the US-China trade row, and then together with Mexico. So that, you know, there's a global shifting of economies and interests. That's why we have also a lot of ambassadors coming in from Europe. And from that side, when before we do not have them, okay? This has something to do with what the economy is also going through in their countries, like the effect of Brexit, the strengthening of EU, but who are the key leaders or lead countries in EU. So that's something. And then their interest because of the trade rifts that's happening, Brexit, EU, US, China, Mexico, Canada, they are now looking for opportunities. Because of what's happening, they are now looking into the Philippines, Mindanao, as the food basket or the food provider, because we have a very strong agricultural sector. So that's why they came over in Davao and see from our perspective what can be done not only in Davao, but what are the opportunities for the whole of Mindanao. So that's the key there, food security.
Can we have from John a description of the booths that are there already? Yung mga how do you find them?
It's the different platform.
Yes.
You mean that?
Yes, the exhibit ones.
Yes, we actually have pavilions now.
Okay.
2 European pavilions and 1 Japanese pavilion, and several companies under that pavilion. Something we've never had before. I'd just like to reflect what President Art was saying. Having been involved in the last 3 investment conferences, we always wanted to have pavilions, but we couldn't gather enough companies from each country to make a pavilion. But now, even with about 3 months preparation, we have 3 pavilions. So I think that can indicate the kind of interest they have in our economy.
The pavilions were provided by the foreigners,
Yes.
Yes.
the foreign companies.
Through their chambers.
And also, for the first time, the foreign chambers are supporting Davao ICON. Never happened before. Because this is for the first time that even ECCP, Japanese Chamber, AmCham, CanCham participated in Davao because according to them, anyway, we just have one agenda. And that is really to promote Davao and Mindanao. So why don't we support each other? And this created a lot of interest among their members. You know, before we used to have local exhibitors, and now we have a lot of foreign exhibitors. That's actually an indication that I mentioned about their interest already towards doing business in Davao and in Mindanao.
Okay, there are no other questions. We'd like to thank President Art, Madam Dr. Monteverde, and John Tria for being with us.
Thank you also.
Thank you.
Tagang salamat sa inyo. Hopefully, we will have some positive before we will end
May
this
positive
Davao
na.
ICON. Yeah, I told them already.
Okay,
More
good.
positive.
More
I'm saying,
positive.
I hope we have more positive
Yeah,
that we will be
positive,
able
no?
to report to you As I've said, di ba? I told you that